Think about it. 1. Consider an attitude object you feel strongly about, something you love or something you hate. Maybe you're passionate about soccer. Perhaps you are staunchly opposed to capital punishment. Describe this attitude along the 3 elements of affect, cognition, and behavior. Okay, so something I'm really interested in is like the topic of sex. So in terms of affect, it makes me feel warm and cozy, and interested. In terms of cognition, it makes my mind feel very curious and explanatory and excited. And in terms of behavior, I mean, I don't really engage in it because it's not like safe, but I'm interested in it. 2. Suppose you're an attitude researcher and want to assess participant attitudes about the institution of marriage. Describe 3 methods you might use in your assessment. So when there's an attitude about marriage that they read, you could see the latency of their response to the attitude. You can also have them fill out self-report questionnaires, and you could also do experimental research. 3. You have 2 close friends who you like very much, Tanya and Amanda. Unfortunately, Tanya can't stand Amanda. This makes your life difficult, as the 3 of you can never spend time together without Tanya getting irritated. Based on what you've learned about cognitive dissonance theory, how might you go about getting Tanya to like Amanda more? You could offer a reward as weak as possible to get Tanya and Amanda to hang out with you at the same time, so that Tanya might change her attitude because of her to match her behavior. 4. Although we readily assume that attitudes relate in meaningful ways to behavior, research suggests they don't always match up. Consider the dentist as the attitude object. Why might attitudes toward the dentist not necessarily predict behavioral responses to the dentist? Well, because most people don't like the dentist, but you have to go. So, yeah. 5. Suppose you're choosing between 2 vacation spots you think are equally amazing, Greece and Costa Rica. You have to pick one and elect to go to Costa Rica. Following your decision, Costa Rica starts to sound even more fantastic. Ziplining, cloud forests, and incredible wildlife. In contrast, Greece seems a little less special. It's expensive, and the beaches aren't really that nice. Describe a cognitive dissonance account of this change in your attitude following the decision. So you chose Costa Rica, so there'll be new advantages you see to the decision that's irrevocable that you've already made, and then you'll find new disadvantages to the other option, Greece, that you didn't see before. 6. Although your son already likes vegetables, you want him to eat even more vegetables. You decide to pay him $1 to spend at the toy store for every portion of vegetables he eats. Given what you learned about self-perception theory, is this a good approach? Why or why not? Well, if your child has no intrinsic motivation to eat vegetables, a reward might help them. But if your child does have intrinsic motivation to eat vegetables and you give them an extrinsic reward that means they would eat vegetables anyway, then they might just think they are eating vegetables for the reward, and it'll mute any intrinsic reward. So it just depends on what your child would do, where their motivation lies. Page 217. For critical thinking. 1. From the perspective of self-perception theory, why would people evaluate a product differently if they build it themselves, if they pay for it with cash versus credit card? 2. What are some potential implications of effort justification in other consumer industries, such as restaurant dining, travel, and entertainment? Okay, so for the first one, if people buy a product themselves, they prefer it. People prefer themselves. There's a lot of ways that's the case. And if they pay for it with cash, like they explain in the textbook, it's more painful. You're like losing something, a physical, tangible part of your power, spending power. But if you pay for it with credit, you still have a credit card. You didn't really like change anything. Okay, what are some potential implications of effort justification in other consumer industries, restaurant, dining, travel, entertainment? I mean, it means like if you go to see a play, you'll think it's a good play. If you go to a concert, you'll think it was a good concert, it's a good band. You know, like if you get a degree, you'll think it's a good degree. If you read a bunch of books on a topic, you'll think it's a cool topic. It's like investment, almost, right? Like when you invest into something, you just have a bias towards it, so you don't feel like you like wasted your time or energy.